There's been a couple times in my career where I ran out of ideas.
Elliot Cygwin has had some pretty amazing experiences.
You ran through your script and like this is the last one.
And I got to immerse myself in his world for a few days just after having completed my T6 checkout.
You want a Warbird?
Yeah, sure.
Your airplane?
The T6 is one of those milestone airplanes you have to have in the book.
That's good. What? We're going straight up.
This guy's flown a lot of different types, and it was pretty cool to get some of his insights.
It's a machine, and you're trying to figure out the machine, and you're trying to figure out how to gather that data and bring it home, and then all of a sudden you're just like the asshole who was about to orphan his kid.
Morning. I just woke up in a day in the life of Elliot Cygwin. So check this out. This is an apartment. Seems like a fairly normal apartment, but it's not. Check this out. This is a hangar full of warbirds. All right, I know what you're thinking. How'd he get there? And where is there anyway? So let's back this story up a little bit. My trip out here was to meet with Elliot. This dude has an amazing resume. He flies everything from the Extra 300 to a bunch of home builds. He races airplanes at Reno. He test flies newly built airplanes. It's just been amazing to watch his stuff on his YouTube channel. I'm addicted to it.
I've got all 8 EGT alarms. I think we're done for the day. Cubby?
I had no excuse to be scared. I was like, my boy's here. What's to be scared about?
All right, so you might recognize Elliot from the Reno Airways vlogs. I actually shot this trip before that trip, but I published that trip before this trip. Anyway, let's get back to this trip. This was the first time I met Elliot, and it was way back in June, well before the Reno air races.
You were gonna meet me in Sacramento, and then I realized you were flying through LA, and I was like, hey man, that's part of my Monday morning commute, is to fly from Mojave up to Sacramento.
I was a super new Harvard/T6 pilot at that point, and I mean, this airplane really has a reputation, and I was curious to hear what Elliot thought about it.
It's pretty rad to be able to commute in the T6. 10,000 feet at cruise power in a 1943 SNJ5. Do you think those are cool?
Yeah. I shared the entire process of my checkout in the Harvard. Check out that spade grip on the stick. I love this thing.
Well, you gone and done it. Now you gotta get this airplane back on the ground by yourself.
So you basically consider this thing an airplane. It's like it's a truck. It's got a reputation, but...
With my background, the T6 is a waypoint that I should have done 15 years ago, and I never did. I don't think from a tail dragger standpoint it's that much harder than the other stuff that I've flown, but it's like one of those like milestone airplanes you have to have in the book. 50 hours is like the lowest number you hear for transition to fighters. The highest number you hear is like 300, something like that.
But the big thing on these is, and I'm sure you've been through all this, but on initial startup, a lot of times, if you got it late enough in the day, the engine part of the system is warm, so you'll be almost at the bottom of the green. And then once you get started and cold oil from the tank pumps in, it'll drop like 10 or 15 degrees.
Right.
And it's already done that, and now it's coming back up. So I'm more confident that we've got some warm oil in there, and that's the big one for me to start taxiing. Good rule of thumb for me, 1,000 RPM if the tail wheel's unlocked.
Yep, 900 or so is what we do at home, so it's about the same.
Come on, baby. Mojave Tower, North American 11 Hotel Papa.
North American 11 Hotel Papa, Mojave Tower.
1 Hotel Papa's down here at the west end, like taxi for departure. We'll be northbound and we'd like a squawk.
North American 11 Hotel Papa, runway 8 taxi via Charlie. Wind is calm, altimeter 2, 991, standby for code.
Taxi runway 8, standby for code, 1 Hotel Papa.
American 11 Hotel Papa, squawk 0451.
0451 for 1 Hotel Papa. The oil is in the green. We'll go ahead and stand it up. I got an oil pressure wiggle, I got a manifold pressure wiggle, and obviously the RPM's wiggling. And then we do this thing that not everybody does, I don't know if you guys do it, but we put a bunch of smash on it and make sure that it'll make full rev.
Yep.
Confirm that we're charging, which we are.
Yeah, we go right to 28, that's where you went, yep.
And do the mag check. And then carburetor heat. And then back to idle. Let's go through the checklist here just to be sure. Shoulder harness needs to be locked. How's yours?
Yep.
And your canopy's open?
Canopy's open.
Alright. Cool. Mojave Tower, North American 1 Hotel Papa is ready to rock runway 8.
North American 11 Hotel Papa, Mojave Tower, runway 8, clear for takeoff, wind calm.
Runway 8, clear for takeoff, 1 Hotel Papa. Tail wheel lock and intercom switch to go.
Okay.
And it's going to be 3365 for our first freak. Tail wheel's locked. Check intercom switch is good. Here comes some power.
So if you want to see super nerdy stuff about how to fly this airplane, check out the episodes that followed my training in this thing. This episode is going to be about getting into Elliot's head as a test pilot engineer. This footage is from a documentary that he was in that featured the process of following along a test flight program that he worked on that obviously didn't go as planned. He's lucky to be alive, honestly. And his insights have been really amazing. He's very humble, but he's got a lot of really cool experience. And I'm just honored to be flying with him and picking his brain and happy to share the process. So I hope you enjoy this one.
And here comes my canopy. So right there's the rocket engine test stand for VG. There's the boneyard where I crashed.
Yeah.
If you look right in the center of everything is a ship from Waterworld, and that's pretty close to where I crashed.
I knew when I leveled the wings and pulled the power back to idle and aimed for the trailer that I was giving up a lot of the authorship of the next couple moments. I'd picked the best option I thought I could. I tried to put it through that window. It seemed like a good place to put it, but after I hit the window, I didn't really know what was going to happen.
So that was obviously his most scary experience, but Elliot has literally done 50 emergency landings. At this point, it's almost like routine for him.
Flown a lot of different airplanes and been exposed to a lot of high-risk situations, and being able to pull out the other side builds some confidence in you. There's been a couple times in my career where I ran out of ideas. You ran through your script and like this is the last one, and that was like terrifically humbling. It's a machine and you're trying to figure out the machine and you're trying to figure out how to gather that data and bring it home, and then all of a sudden you're just like the asshole who's about to orphan his kid.
6-8 to Mayday.
Jennifer and I have been through enough of this on the other side where we've been witness to, or we've had friends that have gone through it, that we have a plan. The first thing I do when I get out is I call her. And there's been moments when something's going wrong in the airplane and you do have a minute, pull out my cell phone out. I really care about you. I love you. This is the deal. So we're sitting here in front of a T6, which is an airplane that I decided would make me better, because the next time I'm pointed at the side of a 747, I want to be goddamn certain I've spent every moment between the two 747 incidents getting ready for the next one.
I'll never come close to Elliot's experience, but I can definitely agree that Harvard is making me a better pilot.
I usually go 2,000 RPM at 26 inches for the bulk of the climb, just because it's such a high climb.
Okay, we do 28, but...
Okay, really? That's a new data point. The book says 30 and 2,000, which is what I remember. And the problem is for the second half of the climb, we're going to be below 30 anyway. So my point is, why burn the extra gas for the first half? A couple months ago, I blew up 2 Pratt & Whitney motors in the same day. I had to cage the left motor in a Beech 18, and then they sent down the T6 so we could get where we were going, and then I blew up the motor in the 6. And in both cases, we got on the ground, and it's like, oh, well, clearly you can tell because of the way the airplane's been operated what happened to the engine when you take it apart. And then you look at the logs, you're like, well, a third of these hours that have been on this engine were put on by us. Like, we don't know how it was operated before that. How can you draw conclusions? Unless you're packing on the hours. Like, if you're putting TPO on a motor every 2 years, yeah maybe. Do you want to fly?
Sure, I got it.
Since most of what I get to do is directly because of community involvement, I want to give back the experience. We're currently giving away a ride in an Extra 300. Please visit flightshops.com to check out how you can win that. It's going to include airfare and accommodations.
November 1 Hotel Papa, say destination.
1 Hotel Papa is going to Eagle's Nest. That's Charlie Alpha 20. They never know where that is.
November 1 Hotel Papa, what's that closest to another airport?
Rancho Murrieta, that's Romeo India uniform.
November 1 Hotel Papa, squawk 7736.
7736 for 1 Hotel Papa.
So this Eagles Nest Airport is like your home base to work at?
It could be. Right now, I just crashed there Monday through Thursday. The Sanders have 3 hangars there. Fixed field approach, North American 11 Hotel Papa, checking in 10,500 for 11,500.
Avion 11 Hotel Papa, very slow, very altimeter 29902. Good morning.
29902 for 1 Hotel Papa, and we're at T6 Texan. So Dennis is one of the Chino kids, that whole thing.
Well, I know it's a big Warbird community there, but I don't know much more about that.
The Chino kids was 70s and 80s. They were just a bunch of young guys playing with F-86s and Corsairs and Mustangs and shit.
Wow.
So Dennis was one of those guys. His dad was a big Warbird rebuilder, and Dennis
radar contact.
Dennis and Brian kind of grew up in it. Anyway, they decided to start their own gig where they could own the land rather than it being on an airport where you don't own the land. And that's why they moved to Eagles Nest. Going cross country in a T6, I consider myself privileged to be able to do it, because not many people get to do it.
Oh yeah, this is awesome.
I really had no idea what I was in for on this trip, but I was going to meet some awesome people.
You know, our dad first took us to Reno in 1968.
Yeah, we were just kids.
We were armed with red rags. Dad always said if somebody looks like they're going to challenge you, just take the red rag, walk over to any airplane and start wiping oil off. And they'll just figure you're part of the team and they'll leave you alone.
Leave you alone, yeah.
And
we had a Frisbee.
And that's why I knew I had to go back, which is why the whole Reno Air Races vlog was its own massive thing.
This opportunity popped up where Dennis needed a skill set that I had, which is why I get to be here.
Elliot runs a pretty unique project here.
This one has 2 air regulators for double the smoke.
He's the project manager for the smoke winder.
And in a lot of ways, I dropped everything to be up here.
And that's why I'm here.
Look at the size of this thing. This is a Sea Fury, double stacked radial engine. And this also happens to be the home of Dreadnought. So I think this is going to be an interesting day.
Ironically, after all that buildup, the first mission I got to do with Elliot wasn't super interesting.
Alright, so I woke up in a pretty awesome hangar, but now I'm going for an hour-long commute. This is not as exciting as I thought your life would be every day. So what's happening today?
So we have a upcoming test program with Sanders, for which we need to make sure that the low altitude aerobatic waiver that Sanders has is active. So I'm heading over to the Sacramento FSDO where we're going to walk through what's the test plan and whether or not the aerobatic waiver is the right waiver for what we're trying to do. That's the part of this whole thing that's not the silk scarf awesome fun part, right? Is you spend a lot of time planning the test and getting all the range considerations right and very little time flying. Meeting with the FAA. So when I was in high school, I spent all my time designing and building and messing with machines. I put a supercharger on a mini bike I built out of a vacuum cleaner. I wanted to go to engineering school. My dad said that was a good idea, so I did that. And I found myself struggling all the way through engineering school about finding that in between being a dorky numbers guy and being hands-on. Experimental aviation allows you to sort of jump both sides of that coin. You engineer it, you build it, and then you operate it.
All right, so what are we heading to now?
It's exactly the kind of thing that we like to do, where you end up with a guy with a cool airplane problem to solve. We get to play with the fun technical stuff in exchange for helping with all the rest.
So if I'm understanding correctly, it's like you get a potential project that you look at with somebody, and then if you take the gig, then you got to go do the FAA sort of stuff that once the project is rolling, you got to make it official.
Right, so we're willing to do the grunt work in order to get access to the cool technology or the cool flying opportunity, because the way we see it is, it's way easier to help you solve your problem than for me to start from scratch on another 6,000 hour wasabi project.
Is it pretty common for like a nondescript barn in the middle of nowhere to have some awesomeness inside?
I think the best projects are this way. It's like digging for records, right? Like if you really want the rad projects, you have to be willing to go out and beat a path. The more time I spent in Mojave and working with the guys at Scale and Nemesis and X-Core, and it seemed like the flight test thing was the heart of it. As a test pilot, you get to think about mechanisms and systems and schedules and cost and how to deal with management and how do composites work but you don't end up having to spend too much time on one thing. It's also infinitely challenging, which is a big part of it.
So what do you want to do tonight? What's the plan?
All right, so what we're really doing is it's a beautiful night in Eagle's Nest, and there's nothing more like Eagle's Nest than flying a badass Warbird. I was just gonna take you through what I would do for light aerobatics in a T6, which is gonna be like a big roll, big positive G roll, big loop, and then maybe a half Cuban if everything's progressing nicely.
All right, check 1, 2, you got me?
Ah, I gotcha. So our limits today are 4 Gs. We're not gonna go above 4.
Eagles Nest traffic, yellow 6, back taxi, runway 19er. One of the things you can do in this airplane that you can't do in most is you turn the seat around on a loop. Apparently it's amazing, but I've never done it.
Like turn the seat around and face backwards?
Yeah, because that's the tail gunner seat, right, where you can flip it around.
Huh.
think it's easy to get like wound up about like precision aerobatics. Going upside down is like a really cool thing. My goal when I take somebody on this ride that we're going on right now is that the person who's never experienced going upside down in an airplane not only goes upside down in an airplane for the first time in something badass like a T6, but they do the driving. The goal is that I can fly hands off and talk you through it. So not only you get the cool experience of being upside down in an airplane, but you get to go home and say that you drove it. And I think that's pretty rad. All right, airspeed's alive.
So obviously Elliot knew that I wasn't a total newbie.
Power push. Gears coming out.
But I appreciated that he was showing me how he handles passengers and keeps things safe, but also exciting. A big part of flying is sharing it, and this dude knows how to share it.
My goodness, look at that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
You want to warm up?
Yeah, sure.
Your airplane. That's pretty good.
The big thing is anything we're gonna go all the way to the vertical, I want 160 for an entry speed, and then for the rolls it's 140. Pull the nose till you kind of visualize your feet on the horizon, and then come back to that 1G point, and don't do anything in pitch axis. Just take it all the way to the aileron, stop. If we do it right, it should be a real easy way to just do a nice symmetric, same entry angle, exit angle, roll.
So typically coming out of the back side of the roll, you'll have enough energy to do the other one. So if you want to do, one way and then the other way.
Yep.
These are pretty equal energy maneuvers. So we're putting energy in at about the rate we're taking it out on these. So count them off for me. So there's 120.
There's 130.
Yep.
140 now, or go for it.
Go for it. So then pull the nose up till your feet are on the horizon.
And here we go.
Perfect. Yeah, go for it. All the way to the stop.
20.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I didn't do much with the rudder. I wasn't even thinking about coordination. I was just trying to think about not going negative.
And look at your airspeed.
Okay,
It's right there. So go to the right. Yeah, let's see it. Bitch, nice work. All the way to the stop. All right, I'll do the wing over.
Okay, you got it?
My airplane. What? But we're going like straight out. We can't do that. Oh my god. And back the other way. All right, we're pretty close here for that 160 for the loop, but we're right at 3,000. So once you guys pull the nose up, we'll climb up a little bit, get some altitude.
Okay. So what should I be doing with the rudder? Because I wasn't thinking about coordination as much as I was thinking about not going negative.
Yeah, and that's, for that maneuver, that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
You can obviously fly the ball on that, and every airplane's going to be different, so the purpose of that maneuver isn't really to focus too much on that stuff.
Yeah, I just looked outside, and yeah. Okay, so we'll get our speed for 160.
Let's do it.
So in this case, we'll go for 160, and we're gonna pull for 4 Gs. If you just pull the airplane back till you get that 4 Gs and then just don't move the stick, you'll end up with a big egg-shaped loop, but it'll be a consistent loop. You'll stay positive through the whole thing. You won't fall out of the top. So 160, 160, 160, 4 Gs, and then let the airplane come around. I'll talk you through it if it looks like we're gonna either stall out of the top or we're getting too fast on the down.
So what do you do to not make it egg shape?
You would push a little bit more on the top.
So just unload a bit.
Yeah, a little bit more, but because that big engine that doesn't belong to me, we're gonna go ahead and stay positive all the way through.
Yeah.
All right, 140, count them off.
Yep, and 150.
Yep.
We're about 50 right now.
60, now, here we go.
All right, 4 Gs, more. All right, hold the stick where it is. Push a little bit, push. Pull. Oh! And then just recover from the dive, no more than 4 Gs. There you go.
How's our weight?
And you flew through your wake. Yeah. That's awesome. You can do a half Cuban.
Got to get myself into a half loop and roll it on the down line.
Right, so it's over the top, and the trick is that finding that 45 line on the back.
Yeah.
And then full stick to roll right side up. I want 160 for the entry.
Okay, there's my 160 now. Here we go, 4 Gs.
4 Gs, and then hold the stick where it is. Nice. Wait for that 45 down line. A little more back pressure. A little more.
Yeah,
all right, now's the time. Go.
Oh my god, too much rudder. What heading did I end up on?
No, that was good. So you were off by what, like maybe 30 degrees at the worst? We'll call it 20?
Yeah, cool.
No big deal. Mind if I try one?
Yeah, man, you got it.
All right, my airplane.
You got it.
put some more energy in the equation here. 140, 150, 160, hold for a second, okay. That's good. What? We're going straight up. All the way to the stop. Something like that.
Very cool.
Cool. And I'm ready to head back unless you got something else you want to do.
No, man, that was cool. That was fun. Right on. And is this the style of pattern you guys always do in the Warbirds? You do the low brake and then bring it up to bleed off the energy and reconfigure up here?
Yeah, so I'm usually, for me personally, I'm usually not that low. But yeah, an overhead approach and then be configured by downwind to beam. Kind of a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
Back in Michigan, we used to call that a deer pass. Alright, I got green lights on the gear. Below flap speed.
So I hope you enjoyed flying along with this one, and definitely check out Elliot's channel. It's a lot of fun and great information too.
I got gear lights, I got gear locks, I got fingers.
Huge thanks to Patreon supporters and sponsors for helping us create this content. And definitely check out the giveaway that we're doing. It's going to be an extra 300 ride. It's going to be awesome.
Saw the power off.
I'll actually be there getting a checkout in the airplane and doing some advanced training and filming an episode. So the giveaway is going to include airfare and accommodations, as well as obviously the flight and the extra. So it'll be a pretty fun time and you'll be part of the episode. In the meantime, please check out the back catalog. There's now like 150 episodes, and keep your flight chops sharp.
It's not as hard from the back as I thought. Like, I did have more horizon reference than I expected. The loop worked out pretty well.
It did. So, sort of in this area was when you finally got to 4.
Yep.
And the risk is, right, you're bleeding energy really fast at that point.
Yeah, and you're vulnerable to stalling it with the nose up.
Well, so, yeah, it'll just do that same thing it does in a stall when you're upright. It just rolls, 90 degrees to 120 degrees.
Right.
Which, since you're rolling to the upright, can be a little disorienting.
Yeah. And you don't really want to spin this airplane.
Nah, I'd rather not.
Yeah.